to what could be the first of a new series on my channel. Might start doing some film reviews. I'm feeling like that might be a thing today. I don't go to the cinema too often, but when I do, I could always do a little review. People see it, they might know whether or not to go and see that particular film. So yeah, I'm thinking that could be a direction to go in. And so kicking it off today, going to be doing a film review about Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. Dawn of Justice. It's obviously the newest DC film in the DC universe that seems to be recreated now. It's the first Batman film since Christian Bale, which is obviously big shoes to fill. And obviously Superman, we saw Superman in Man of Steel in 2013. It's still played by Henry Cavill. Batman is now Ben Affleck. Lois Lane is Amy Adams. Lawrence Fishburne is Perry, and then Perry that's in charge of Daily Planet. Alfred is now played by Jeremy Irons. Who else is there? Jesse Eisenberg is now Lex Luthor, which is debatable and terrible, but you know. So yeah, let's just start off. It's basically DC's attempt to build Justice film universe, similar to the Marvel universe, obviously, where we have Captain America, Iron Man, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, it's their attempt to try and do that. The movie itself, it was okay. It prioritises the shared universe more than it does the actual development of a solid story in this film. But, you know, I suppose that's to be expected maybe, because this was the beginning of them building for Justice League, so I suppose that was to be expected. Film kicks off, we see a young Bruce Wayne, played by Ben Affleck, obviously. Not in the beginning, because it's a young Bruce Wayne, so if Ben Affleck was 6, I'd be confused. Basically, we see the young Bruce Wayne and his parents. We see his parents killed outside the theatre, where of course they've been killed many times now. And we see their funeral and a young Bruce Wayne falling down a well, and the bats circle around him and bring him back to the surface, which we then find out is a dream, but you know, these things happen. Yeah, this is the first time we see this as such. Obviously we've seen in previous Batman films his parents dying, but this is the first time we've seen something like this. We skip forward after that to a mid to late 40s Ben Affleck playing Bruce Wayne, arriving in Metropolis by helicopter. He apparently, this is what I didn't realise, is Metropolis and Gotham City are only separated by a river because later on in the film you see that Superman stood in Metropolis and he looks towards Gotham and it literally seems like it's about 10 minutes away. It's like, really? I didn't think they were that close, but okay. So yeah, Bruce Wayne's arriving in Metropolis. He's arriving at the point where in Man of Steel, Superman fought General Zod at the end of the film in a big fight in the city. A lot of buildings collapsed, got stuff exploded. And yeah, Bruce Wayne is arriving. While that's happening, he actually looks up and you see Superman and Zod fighting in the sky. That's happening and he's trying to basically protect everyone, get people to safety. He's got a tower. Wayne Industries. Is it Wayne Industries or Wayne Enterprises? I can never remember. One of the two. They've got a tower, and basically he's trying to make sure everyone gets out of there safely. Unfortunately, he doesn't, and people do die. And yeah, that's where the initial Batman versus Superman hatred begins to build, obviously, because he blames Superman, the alien, for bringing Zod, another alien, to their planet and causing all this destruction. So he blames him for that, and he obviously blames him for the deaths of the people that were working in his building. That's kind of, we stop there. We flash forward about 9 months, I believe, to a place in Africa where Lois Lane, Amy Adams, and Jimmy, who also, of course, works for Daily Planet, but apparently now is a CIA agent as well. God knows how. We flash forward to them. They've been, not kidnapped, they've been captured by African militants. The African militants are then betrayed by a task force sent in by Lex Luthor, apart from one who is their leader, and he is then basically annihilated by Superman because he comes to rescue Amy Adams, Lois Lane, obviously. That was different. Like, Jimmy all of a sudden has gone from being a paper boy at the Daily Planet to working for the CIA, so that was different. So yeah, that happened. We were all like, And yeah, like I say, Superman comes in, he rescues Lois Lane, blah 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 blah. There's a lot of things going back on in Metropolis. They don't think that Superman should be using his powers the way he is. They're trying to pass a bill to stop him. They want him to come and give evidence of why he should be allowed to. And on the flip side of that, we then get introduced to Lex Luthor, who is Jesse Eisenberg, which is terrible because Jesse Eisenberg tries to be funny in every role he plays and it doesn't work. So, yeah, he basically, they've come across a source of kryptonite in the ocean that got there basically when Zod's ships attacked before. He's now come into possession of this kryptonite and he wants to weaponize it against Superman, and he wants the government's permission basically, which he gets refused. So obviously, him being a mad, evil, genius scientist man, he thinks, why not, I'll do it anyway. And yeah, he continues to do that and he weaponizes it. Back to Gotham, we meet Batman in his Batsuit for the first time in this film. He is dispensing justice to people. He has now decided he's going to start branding people, like cow branding, with a bat sign, which basically turns him into he's an unaccountable judge, jury and executioner as such. And that means obviously there's a lot more pressure and negativity towards him, especially from Clark Kent, Superman, who at the Daily Planet has become obsessed with Batman and is now trying to write pieces on him and trying to find out who he is, which he does eventually, obviously, but it does take some time. So, like I say, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is now trying to weaponize the kryptonite into something where he can control Superman and, kill him if need be. And then we flash back to Gotham again, and we get back to Batman and the Batcave, and we meet this film's Alfred, who's Jeremy Irons. Now, admittedly, I'm not a huge Jeremy Irons fan. I mean, he's a very good actor, but there's only a few films I can actually name that he's been in that I would find memorable, for one being Die Hard 2, obviously. And he's a very good actor in this film, honestly. It's the best Alfred I think I've ever seen. Michael Caine was very good with the Christian Bale, and is it Richard Goff, I believe, was the one with Adam West. So they were both obviously very good, but I feel like this one has a real character to him and isn't just there to, dispense guidance to Bruce Wayne. He's actually there to take part as well. He does take part. He controls the Batwing, something like that. The plane that Batman flies, he controls that from the Batcave, which is really cool because it's like remote control. So he's getting involved more. And I feel like he's got a really, he really adapts to the character in this film and makes it his own. So that was really good. During the film, we get a lot of flashbacks, a lot of times when Batman seems to be either flashing back to things or hallucinating, dreams that Superman kills him. He dreams that, he dreams a lot of things. He dreams, obviously, the initial bat sequence where he's lifted by bats. And he dreams again when he thinks about the old Wayne Manor and he goes to the grave where his mother is buried and a massive bat-like creature attacks him. So there's a lot of hallucinations. It's very difficult to keep up sometimes what's hallucination and what isn't. So it's interesting, but so that's something. One of the main better points of the film was Wonder Woman. We got to meet Wonder Woman for the first time, Gal Gadot. She was very good. She plays the role well. We actually got to see her in a Wonder Woman garb, so like the lasso of truth and all her armour and everything, so that's really cool. That was interesting, because sometimes they diverse a little bit from the original look in superhero films, but they stuck to it this time, so that was really good. We saw parts of the Justice League, like very small video snippets. Saw Aquaman coming out of a weird ship out in the ocean. We saw The Flash doing his Peter Parker impression and stopping a robbery. And then we saw Cyborg being built in a laboratory somewhere. Quick fact, the scientist building Cyborg in the laboratory is played by the actor who played Miles Dyson in Terminator 2, who actually creates Skynet as such. So, yeah, there's a weird little mix. He's gone from creating robots to creating more robots. Lucky him. And, yeah. The film culminates in a huge fight between Batman and Superman, which is basically just punch, punch, kick, kick, punch, 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 punch. And they only stop hitting each other when they realise they have the same name, their mothers share the same name of Martha, which it just baffles me that that actually happened, but you know. So yeah, you got Son of Krypton versus Bat of Gotham, and they only stop fighting each other because, oh, your mum's named Martha too, woo! No. And yeah, that was the culmination of their little fight, and then there was something else at the end, but I won't give that away because it's a huge spoiler, and obviously I don't want to ruin the film too much. But yeah, the actual ending itself could have been avoided or changed and made more sense, but you know, Zack Snyder seems to not care what most people think, so good luck to him. All in all, it had its plus points, this film. I mean, obviously it's the beginning of the Justice League, and it's exciting because it could be so good, but they just need to do it right, and they need to make it an interesting film. Like the next ones, like, because we get Wonder Woman's standalone next, then we get Aquaman and the Flash, then we get Justice League Part 1, I believe, and then Part 2, and then I feel like Green Lantern Corps is after that. So there's quite a bit that they can still do to make Justice League a lot better, but as a standing point, this wasn't great. But yeah, overall, I felt pretty shortchanged by this film. Much like with Bruce Wayne in the film, I left the theatre wondering, you know, if it had all been a bad dream a little bit, because it did seem that way. Some parts of it were really pretty bad. Yeah, like I said, it had its points, but overall, not what I was expecting it to be. So overall, I think I'd give it about 2.5 stars out of 5, which is fair. You know, it's a half mark, and they've got a lot of room for improvement in future films. So you know, DC and Zack Snyder have got a lot of momentum that they can really start to pick up on. And yeah, there's plenty of plots and stories that they can take from the comics to bring into this, which they kind of did at the end of this film with what happens, but it wasn't done properly, and it was done the opposite of how it worked in the comic books. So, but yeah, there's a lot of positives going forward, so they can definitely capture the audience again. And yeah, it's pretty much where I'll leave it. Like I say, 2 out of 5 stars. 2.5, sorry, out of 5 stars, not 2. I've downgraded it half a star, how dare I? And yeah, like I say, I'll probably do film reviews whenever I see something at the cinema, which isn't too frequently, but you know, here and there, it's pretty interesting. And yeah, just giving my opinion really. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give it a like, subscribe, and catch you next time. See ya.